Leading the vocal, as you said, and then it's played, they're the top two, which gives you an idea of the sense of urgency the Blazers have here as you're trying to make it into the play-in game.
Clean. Alright, what are we doing today, bro?
One curve, two at the clean.
We're doing a hot taker, right? Back.
What's that?
Yo, so to kick this video off, I go in using my gold comb, and I kind of want to comb this hair with any waver. You dealing with decompression, so you want to lift the hair as much as possible. You want to prep the hair as much as possible before cutting it down. So I'm just keeping everything consistent by combing the pattern with the grain, trying to lift the hair off of the scalp, preparing to go through it with a number 2 guard on my Andes ZRs. My next step, I go in with my Andes ZRs with a number 2 guard, and I'm cutting with the grain, trying to get everything down to that one desired length. Folding the ear down, keeping everything consistent and going with the grain. And I'm not dragging these clippers through the hair. You can't treat these clippers the same way you would treat masters or seniors by just going through the hair super fast. If so, you will scratch the scalp. So just take your time, let these float over the head, and you will get down to that desired length. Just remember, take your time around that crown area, because he said earlier he wants to do a 1.5 on the top, but he wants to do a 2 on the crown. But your 2 mimics a 1.5 guard on your ZRs or your detachable clippers, so just keep that in mind. I'm trying to stay away from that crown as much as possible, and then I'm gonna shift to my number 2 guard on my Andes Masters to really clean the crown up right here. And as you guys can see, I'm cutting with the crown because you got that 720 crown, how it shift. You gotta change your clipper direction, you gotta comb within the direction of the wave, but also you have to brush it. You gotta keep it laid, you gotta keep it up to par with you, just so it can all be ready for that final step. My next step, I go in with my gold FXs, and I'm hitting the bottom of the vertical bars because he did say a high taper. So we're gonna clear this bottom part out, and then we just finna get right into this fade. My next step is to debulk with my number 2, seeing that I cut him with a number 2 on the Andes ZRs. A number 2 is just gonna debulk it a little bit because I'm trying to preserve as many waves as I can. And as you guys can see, that debulking is coming in super slow. Go in completely open right here, about 1/2 inch, and I just want to give myself a little bit of room so I can see exactly what I'm gonna be fading out from 0 to open. Then I go in with my 1/8 guard, and I'm just debulking this area, and as you guys could kind of see the gradients coming through, I'm down fading, and I'm preserving a lot of bulk so I can blow that 0 line all the way out, but at the same time, I want to preserve as many waves and as much of this fade as I can. My next step, 1/16, and I'm in here, and I'm flicking in and out, and I'm just trying to keep the gradiency going down. It's a form of down fading. And then I'm gonna blow out that 0 line right here. Completely close, and I'm gonna work my way up. And as you guys can see that gradiency coming together, I'm gonna clean it up with my masters to detail after this step, because I like my masters in terms of detailing, and we gonna get it all the way together. Shout out to Jerem Boomin, man. Jerem Boomin lose his mind every beat. every sample is like a kill session, man. Go support my boy. I got his beat store in my description box. Just go support him. He can do any and everything, man. This producer crazy to me. Literally the best to do it. Like, this is my style of presenting a YouTube video to people. And as you guys can see, I'm just going back and forth between open and my 1/16 just to ensure and make sure that my taper in my fade area is clean as possible. But back to my boy Jern Boom, and he ain't missed on the beat yet. He ain't missed on not one sample. And to come through with that Kim, I Can't Stop Loving You is just like super fire. So shout out to my boy. It was just his birthday like 3-4 days ago too. So another happy belated birthday to my dog Jern Boom. Then I go in using my gold Babeless FXs and I'm creating that bald line in the back, and I'm giving myself about a 2-inch guide, seeing my client hair grow super low to the bottom of his neck. You want to clear that whole area out. Then I go in completely open, giving myself an entire inch to open up. I know somebody gonna think that this is high, but it's not gonna be high at all, because I'm finna down fade from here. Then I go in with my number 2, trying to repeat the same steps that I did on the left side of the head by going in with a number 2 to debulk, and I'm gonna go in with a 1/8 and a 1/16, and I'm gonna slowly but surely create gradiency between his fade without having to push his fade higher from the open. And as you guys can see, I'm getting gradiency. Everything is looking super, super, super consistent. And that's the most important thing, period. My client going to sleep, his head is nodding, but at the end of the day, I'm doing my job. I'm flicking in and out. I'm brushing one, I'm fading one, and I'm staying consistent. I'm in my lane, like I'm in my realm. When I'm doing my thing behind my chair, I'm super, super, super in love with just my job. I'm in love with doing what I do day to day. So to blow out that panel, I go completely halfway closed right here, and we're going halfway. I'm slowly but surely creating more gradiency, and then as I work my way towards the bottom of the fade, I close my clippers a little bit more. I can't even stop rocking to this beat. This beat hard. This beat hard, y'all. Just slightly detailing. My next step is to repeat all of the same steps on this side. I'm gonna do this side completely way faster just because y'all seen it already in 2 sides, the back and on the other side. So my message just for this area is just, man, have fun with this. Like, it's super easy to lose your motivation. And I was doing that at a point in time. I was losing my motivation, not for being a barber, but I was just losing my motivation in terms of enjoying cutting, which is why my big move to Florida is coming, so I can surround myself by the Bossios, the S-Craft Blends, the Matt Gifted Hands, and everybody else that's in Tampa, Florida. Like, I gotta get that irk back. A lot of people in my shop just not into the things that I'm into in terms of pushing the barber game forward, in the industry forward. And just a small message for me is, when you start to lose your irk, you start to lose that motivation, you gotta do a reset button. You gotta hit that reset button. You gotta put yourself back in that predicament where you used to love it and where you used to enjoy it. And with me, that's super big to my whole thing that I got going on. It would just being Beam and just being an influencer. You can't lose that gist. You can't lose that fire up under you. So you gotta surround yourself by that to kind of hit that reset button to remind you like what you truly love, what you truly miss. So I go in with my M spritz and I'm just basically hitting the top of the lining. I'm hitting the back of the neckline. I'm hitting the beards. I just want to make sure that I hit everything with spritz. Then I go over the top, which is the most important thing to any waver. Floating over the top, making sure I'm getting all of these waves and all of this hair down to the true desired length, knocking all of the scraggly legs off of the client's head. And I'm super focused, I'm super locked in. Like, when I'm doing this, these wavers, I'm at home, man. Got my feet up. Like, that's just how I feel. So to start this off, I plant in the middle and I work my way all the way to the left, seeing my client got a real light spot. And it's not a light spot like losing hair. You can tell he probably never grew hair right there in the middle of his forehead, because everything else is super close. And then I'll drop on this side, going straight up and down to get my vertical bar. But I want to start in that middle where that light spot is on his furthest hair. You don't ever really want to start the lineup too early. You want to start on the furthest hair. You don't want to dig into a lineup either. Like, that's blasphemy to me. Like, when I'm lining up, I'm not digging in nobody lining. That's crazy to me. So as you guys can see, I'm going right over that spot as if it got hair. And that's the whole point. You want to create that illusion. Keeping everything squared. I got his head locked in with one hand, and I got the clippers hitting with the other hand. Like, I got foundation, and that's the most important, because without foundation, you know, that building gon' fold. That's super important. Without a strong foundation, that building will fold. So now I go in with my boy Sean Cut's hair color enhancement card, the best color enhancement card on the market. Assisted with the Beam Team cordless compressor, my product, with my other product, No Drip, using the Onyx black color. And I'm just going in and I'm just hitting some of this lineup so I could give it some color, some tenacity, give it some pop, because it was my boy coming out here from Texas. Like, this guy traveled all the way from Texas, so you want him to go back to Texas looking just as icy. I go in with my Barber magic pencil and I'm basically just concealing the lineup. And concealing the lineup is super important to me. It get a line and a little bit more pop, just for my Kodak moments. And I go in using my clippers just so I can blend this line completely out, because this is super important. And as you guys can see, after I hit it with my clippers, it gives it some type of contrast. It bounces off the skin. It gives a real crispy, clean look. So that's something that's super important to my job, super important to my lineups. It's essential. Then hitting the bottom of the mustache, converting, flipping my clippers around and hitting the top of the mustache. As you guys can see, we trying to get this thing as symmetrical as possible, but at the same time, we trying to put some flash on it. So I'm hitting the back of the beard line. I normally do these first, but I did it last. So I hit the back of the beard line and then under the beard, and then I want to clear this whole area out. Hitting the back of the neckline, starting with my verticals first, and as I work my way up the ear, I'll convert to the corner of the blade to make my roundabout. Doing the same thing, back of the beard line, dropping it all the way low, then clearing the panel at the bottom of the beard, and then working my way in the back, doing the verticals of the back of the beard line or the neckline, and working my way all the way around the corner with the edge of the clippers. Now I'll clear the panel under the beard here. Next step is to lean them back, angle that razor at a 45-degree angle, stretch that skin, bring everything back to that lineup. My client wants to keep a lot of width for the beard and things like that, so that's the most important thing to me. And as you guys can see, I'm using this razor around the bump, being very precise. You don't want to just clear a bump and have somebody bleed in the chair. So as you guys can see, take your time with this, stretch that skin, angle that razor at a 45-degree angle, bring everything back to that lineup, and what we got, ice. It's the same thing. Like, whatever we do up top, we do to the bottom. I told y'all, I treat my lineups like common denominators. Whatever I do somewhere on one side, I do to the other side. Like what they do to break them improper fractions. They just, you know, multiply the bottom and the top by the same number. So what I'm doing in my lineups is whatever I'm doing on one side, I'm doing to the other side. Everything is numbers to me, degrees, angles, it's things of that nature. So I've always been a mathy person. I always crunch numbers, always crunch angles. So that's just my easiest way for me to break it down to y'all, is using mathematics. Stretching that skin, angling that razor at a 45-degree angle. Hitting the top of that mustache, just getting it super clean. And then the front of the lineup, using one of my fingers to basically pull the skin down, the other hand to do the razor and brush. Like, this boy gassed up. This boy gassed up. So in an imperfect world, we do get these clients that come in after 2-month woofs. My boy from Texas, and that boy drove 10 plus hours to Chicago to come get some work. As barbers, I tell y'all on every video, it's up to us to change that outcome. And on my channel, there's no other way to give it up but the way I'ma give it up. Without further ado, let's lock in. You already know what to do. Hashtag TBT in that comment section. Hashtag 2020 year the shapeshifters. Hashtag glacier gang, yeah, all of that. If you was able to sit through this 14 to 15 minute video with me, please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell to get alerted when new videos come out. I've been in my duffel since COVID started and I won't stop. Until next time, and may God bless. All right, let me know what you think. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate that, bro. Definitely appreciate it.
That's why I keep it solid there till I come back.
Yes, sir. Quick little 2-month wolf, 8 weeks, slight. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section.